Princess Diana's private letters, now revealed to the public, have sent shockwaves across the world, exposing the private, raw, and heart-wrenching truths that had long been hidden behind the polished image of the royal family. The once idyllic fairytale of Diana's life, her marriage to Prince Charles, and her role as a mother and future queen has now been redefined by these intimate revelations. For years, the public adored her as the tragic princess, a beautiful and graceful woman caught in a loveless marriage to a man who openly betrayed her, and a monarchy that seemed to turn a blind eye to her suffering. The royal family, with its grandiose symbols of tradition and duty, was seen as an almost unshakable institution, incapable of understanding personal pain. But the newly revealed letters tear this facade apart, showing the agonizing emotional manipulation, neglect, and abandonment that Diana endured at the hands of the people she trusted the most, her husband, Prince Charles, and the royal family itself. For decades, the world held onto the narrative that Diana's marriage to Prince Charles was a classic tale of a fairytale princess caught in the most tragic of circumstances. Diana was adored for her beauty, her charity work, and her vulnerability, while the story of her husband's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles was portrayed as the inevitable breakdown of an impossible union. Diana became a symbol of feminine suffering, the ultimate victim of royal duty and the cold indifference of the monarchy. The public seemed to view her as the epitome of grace under fire, enduring personal tragedy with dignity, while the media savored every twist and turn in her private life. But in her letters, Diana strips away the manufactured public persona and reveals the truth of her pain. In her own words, she no longer seeks to protect the family's image or maintain the delicate balance that the monarchy relied on. Instead, she exposes the emotional turmoil that took place behind the closed doors of Buckingham Palace and beyond. The letters reveal a startling new perspective on the life of Princess Diana. They offer a glimpse into the harsh realities of royal life, where duty often takes precedence over the individual, and personal suffering is buried beneath the weight of public expectations. Diana's letters detail the emotional neglect and manipulation she suffered from Prince Charles, not as an isolated incident, but as part of a systemic pattern of abuse by the royal family. She writes candidly about the deep wounds inflicted by her husband's infidelity, his cold and distant behavior, and the deep sense of isolation that she experienced. What becomes clear is that Diana's suffering was not just a result of her unhappy marriage, but also of the royal family's indifference to her emotional well-being. The institution, which should have supported her, instead trapped her in a gilded cage, forcing her to smile for the cameras while her heart broke in private. Queen Elizabeth's role in Diana's life is one of the most striking revelations in the letters. For years, the Queen was seen as a distant, but dutiful matriarch, a figurehead who carried the weight of tradition and public expectation. Yet, in Diana's letters, the Queen emerges as emotionally detached and unsympathetic to Diana's struggles. The royal family was not a source of comfort for Diana, but rather a cold, indifferent entity that demanded her loyalty while offering none in return. Diana's words reveal how the Queen, rather than offering a compassionate ear or offering advice, distanced herself from the pain Diana experienced. There is a chilling sense of neglect in the correspondence. Diana was left to navigate the most difficult moments of her life, without the support she so desperately needed. Instead of stepping in to guide her, the Queen seemed more focused on maintaining the appearance of the monarchy's strength and unity. In the letters, Diana speaks of how she felt invisible to her mother-in-law, her loneliness compounded by the belief that no one in the royal family truly cared about her well-being. The monarchy, with all its grandeur, seemed incapable of understanding the human suffering that Diana experienced. However, it is the betrayal by Camilla Parker Bowles that casts the darkest shadow in Diana's letters. The affair between Charles and Camilla was the scandal that dominated the media, and it was well known that Camilla had been an obstacle to Diana's happiness from the very beginning. But Diana's letters provide a deeper understanding of the psychological toll that this affair took on her. Camilla is not just portrayed as the woman who stole Diana's husband. She is revealed to be a cunning manipulator, who actively sought to undermine Diana's position within the marriage. Diana's letters expose the way Camilla used her power over Charles to isolate Diana emotionally, constantly undermining her confidence and self-worth. Diana writes of the unrelenting psychological warfare she endured, how Camilla played on Charles's insecurities to maintain control over him, and how she weaponized those insecurities to push Diana further into the margins. What becomes increasingly clear is that Charles's infidelity was not merely an affair. It was part of a larger, calculated strategy to break Diana's spirit. Camilla's influence over Charles was not just romantic, it was deeply political. In her letters, Diana details how Camilla consistently worked to separate her from Charles, to fracture their relationship, and to claim her place in his life. Camilla, she writes, was not just a mistress, but a rival who sought to destroy Diana's sense of self and to diminish her role in the marriage. Diana describes the pain of knowing that Charles's love for her had been replaced with an obsessive devotion to Camilla, leaving her alone in a marriage that had long ceased to be about mutual affection. The emotional toll of the affair was compounded by the royal family's complete disregard for Diana's pain. In the letters, Diana reveals how the family turned a blind eye to her suffering, more concerned with the image of the monarchy than with the emotional reality of the situation. Instead of offering support, or even acknowledging the pain she was experiencing, the family expected her to maintain the image of the perfect royal wife and mother. The letters paint a picture of a woman who was not only betrayed by her husband, but also abandoned by the institution that should have protected her. As the monarchy's public face, Diana was forced to carry on with her duties, smiling for the cameras, attending events, and upholding the royal image, all while her world was falling apart. The pressure of living this double life, one in the public eye and one in private torment, took a devastating toll on Diana's mental health. As Diana's emotional turmoil deepened, her letters offer a candid and painful account of her descent into emotional and mental distress. Her writings speak of sleepless nights, crippling self-doubt, and a sense of profound isolation. The weight of the expectations placed upon her as a member of the royal family, combined with her emotional neglect and the constant presence of her husband's affair, left her feeling trapped and powerless. In her letters, Diana speaks of the pressure to conform to the perfect image of the royal family, and the overwhelming burden of having to maintain this facade despite the agony she was experiencing. The public, she writes, saw her as a princess, a symbol of grace and charity, but beneath the surface, she was a woman in desperate need of help, support, and love. And yet, despite everything, there is an undeniable sense of resilience in Diana's letters. As much as she describes her pain and suffering, she also writes about moments of strength, clarity, and defiance. These letters reveal a woman who, despite all the emotional manipulation, the neglect, and the betrayal, refused to be silenced. Diana's words are an act of resistance, an attempt to take control of her narrative and to reclaim her voice. The letters represent her effort to speak her truth, to shed light on the darkness that surrounded her, and to remind the world that she was more than just a victim. She was a woman who fought for her dignity, her self-worth, and her future. Through her letters, Diana lays bare the complexity of her experience, her heartbreak, her anger, her pain, and her ultimate determination to survive. In the final chapters of her correspondence, Diana begins to come to terms with her situation, finding solace in her children and the opportunities for growth that lay ahead. She expresses a sense of hope for the future, despite the years of suffering she endured. The letters end with a feeling of closure, as Diana starts to rebuild her life and embrace her independence. Yet the story of her struggle, her resilience, and her courage lives on in these letters, offering a glimpse into the private world of one of the most iconic figures of the 20th century. Through Diana's letters, we come to understand a woman who was not just a princess, but a human being flawed, strong, vulnerable, and deeply affected by the world around her. These letters, in all their raw emotion, force us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about Princess Diana and her tragic life. They are not just a testament to her suffering, but also to her strength and her unwillingness to let the royal family, or anyone else, define her. Diana's words stand as a powerful reminder of the importance of speaking one's truth, no matter how painful or difficult it may be.